Good morning. I am pleased today to have Andrew Harbridge, a Canadian musician and composer, with me. It is the 60th anniversary for Canada Music Week this week. I don't know, Andrew, my teacher I had, Helen Dahlstrom, she was one of the people who originally set up Canada Music Week. So that's pretty exciting to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I don't know about my teachers if they had anything to do with that. Um, One of my teachers was Daryl Irving.
Okay, yes.
She might have been. She would be the same age as Glenn Gould would have been, I believe. So I hope she doesn't mind me saying that. He beat he beat Glenn Gould once in a competition in the Kiwanis Festival.
Well, that's something to be able to talk about and boast about, isn't it? So I'm joining Andrew. I live in Castlegar, which is a tiny city in British Columbia. So I'm a member of the Trail Castlegar registered music teachers in BC, and Andrew's from Ontario.
Hmm.
And Andrew, I'll let you tell more about yourself, but you are a musician and a composer and is it church director, your official title, or?
Yes, I'm the I believe my title is music minister at Park Street Baptist Church, and so I play the organ. They have a beautiful grand piano there. I also do contemporary music on a keyboard. They've been really great to me there, with supplying me with the best equipment. I almost feel guilty having so many keyboards on the platform. And then I compose, as you know, and I'm also an examiner for Conservatory Canada, and I've been one since 2003. Um, I teach. That's my main living, is doing that. And that's probably it for employment things. That keeps me pretty busy. Oh,
Okay.
I'm also in the music publishing business, and I've been putting quite a bit of my music up on an app called SuperScore, which is pretty fantastic. It follows, or it will not continue until you have played the right note. So I'm excited about putting some of my music up on their app.
That's pretty exciting. That's
Yeah.
pretty exciting. Yes. So I'm so thrilled. Our Canada Music Week reception or recital we usually have is kind of out this year because of COVID. So that was one of the ideas. I was like, let's interview a Canadian composer. So I was so thrilled that you're joining us today. I have a few students this week who are working on some of your pieces right now. And
Oh, awesome.
after they played their pieces this week, I said, "Are there any questions you have for Andrew Harbridge? I'm going to be interviewing him this week." And one of them was like, "Really? Like the composer who wrote this music? You're going to be talking to him?" And he was just like
Well,
awestruck.
well, that's better than you mean he's not dead?
You
He's a
probably get
living
that sometimes.
composer?
That's
That's
funny.
what I usually get.
Yes, yes. And your pieces, I think they're found in the Canadian Contemporary series. I was digging through some of my music today. They're also in the Northern Lights, some of them.
Yes, grade 5 and up.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
and in the primer books, I have some works in there as well.
awesome.
And
And
what
then
else
I
do you
know
have
you
there?
have this series, Piano Styles, and the Spectrum series.
Yes, and I've just come out with, it's called Spectrum Advancing, so it would continue after Spectrum 6.
Nice. I have
And
some.
then I hope to, in this next year, write Spectrum 1 through 4, and then there'll be a complete set from beginner all the way up. So that plan's been in the works, but SuperScore's been keeping me kind of busy.
Yes, yeah. I've just got onto Superscore lately and I'm really enjoying it.
Now, there's a new series out. I have a quarter of the compositions in pianos, and Christopher Norton has another quarter. Wes Froese has another quarter, and Deborah Wanless has the last quarter. So it was fun working with the other three composers and producing that series.
That's very exciting. Congratulations for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome. So I should start asking you some of these questions because I know you have to teach later on, even though it's earlier in BC than is it Ontario. Um, so I know you've already told us a little bit about what you do besides composing, or you probably already answered that question. Was there anything else you wanted to say about what you do, or?
I enjoy reading, and I like fantasy fiction novels. Although the last book I read was Beethoven biography. I'm on my third one now. The last one was 900 pages. But my wife Sherry wonders, how do you read all that? But anyways, I find it fascinating. I enjoy bike riding and going for walks and getting some fresh air. And I like traveling, but that's all been kaput with COVID going on.
Yes.
So, anyways, and I have a family, two daughters, and of course my wife, and we live in a suburban area in Peterborough. So I enjoy doing some garden work as well.
Excellent. That sounds like you. I know some people think that musicians, piano teachers, or even church musicians, directors, that they like just have all their days off and only work part of the time. But
Yeah,
it sounds like
I have had that. You only work 1 hour a week. Why should we pay you this much?
yes, yes. Instead of thinking like I have too many jobs with not enough hours in the day, right?
Well, you see, I started when I was 5, and people don't see all the work that we musicians have to do behind the scene. And you and I and other piano teachers, we have a lifetime of knowledge.
Yes.
We didn't just start at university. We started when we were a lot younger. So,
Yes. Yes. So one of my question is, how old were you when you started taking lessons, or also when you started to compose?
okay, I was 5 years old, and my dad took me to the local music store, and I took organ lessons. And it wasn't very long, and then they switched teachers, and the second teacher says, "Oh, bring him back when he grows taller, so he can reach the pedals." So that was the end of music lessons for about 6 years, and I kind of regret that there was a 6 year gap in there. So at age 11, I started back, and but it was organ lessons. I didn't actually have my first piano lesson till I was 18.
Wow.
And I was taught all this chording business with the organ, and I didn't really know how to read the bass staff until I started piano when I was 18. So I wish my parents had have known to shop for higher quality music teachers that would have made me read the left hand, wouldn't have had me stop lessons just because my legs were short. So, and then about composing, I would have been probably 12 years old, and when I wrote my first composition, and I realized I sent it off to Sparrow Records in the States, and they must have had a little chuckle with this one-page composition written in pencil by a boy, and they sent me a very kind letter back and encouraged me to keep going. So, but my love of music goes back to I remember being 3 years old and listening to I don't know if you remember that funky Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring played on the radio.
Okay. Yes.
I'm older than you, so
I don't know about that.
it's probably before your time. But I used to dream of being the organist playing this. And early on, I wanted to be a writer of music. So, but I was probably about 12 before I actually started putting notes down on paper.
Awesome. Did you actually take composition lessons at that time, or just wrote because you felt like writing it down?
I wrote because I had a love of creating things. And now I was disadvantaged because I couldn't read the bass staff till I took piano. But with the organ, I understood harmony and chords very early on. So, how I get by in church, I could read the soprano and the alto and that would be 2/3 of a triad. So I could at least make up the rest of it and
Right.
get through. So in a way that put me behind, but in another way, I was able to think in harmony very early, which is a big part of the composing.
Yes, yes, definitely. So one thing that could have been a disadvantage, you ended up turning it into an advantage by just being able to think it through in a different way.
Yes.
That's awesome. And so instruments, I know you write for piano. Do you write for organ as well or any other instruments?
I have written some choir music, and I'm trying to think if I've written anything, nothing specifically for organ. I do have a commission to write for the bell tower on Parliament Hill. They played some of my compositions, um, and it was a real treat to go up and hear them played on the giant bells up there. They let me play the giant bell,
Oh,
the
that would
low,
be so
low, low
exciting.
C. And now the Parliament buildings are under construction, so I don't know if there's much going on there right now. But so I hope to add bells or
Oh,
the carillon. That's what they call the
right. That's
yes,
very exciting. I
yeah.
know in our town we have only one church at the moment that has one bell. So when I've told students about carillons, they're like, "You mean you have more than one bell?" I'm like, "Yeah, they can play actual songs on."
Well,
And
yeah.
I was going to say, what exam systems can you use your pieces for, Andrew?
For sure, Conservatory Canada, and just about everything I've written is on the in the contemporary syllabus list. You do have your own choice, so you can use my works on the classical exam. Um, CNCM, Canadian National Conservatory. Of course, I'm in their repertoire books, and it's pretty wide open. Now, an RCM teacher could use my works as an own choice. As-
Yes, yes. I find that, like I mentioned before, students love playing your pieces.
Thank you.
When they get their new books, they're always wanting to find out where the Andrew Harbridge pieces are. So that's pretty exciting.
It,
Um, and then, this is one question. I always am curious about composers. When you write a piece, or maybe it changes, do you come up with the mood or the title first, and then write a piece that fits that, or do you write the piece and then come up with the title for it?
I come at it from different angles. I work really well with some restrictions, and I would recommend that to any new composer. Don't have it so wide open you don't know where to start.
Okay.
For instance, for the Canadian Contemporary Repertoire books that Deborah Wanless put together, she said to me, "Okay, Andrew, we've got most of the book finished, but I need something in 6/8 time, key of G, with a pedal point, and how about a hand over hand arpeggio or something like that." So I wrote that, and it was on the wings of the dawn.
Oh,
Is a
yes.
result of that. So and CNCM, Canadian National Conservatory, they've commissioned me for a number of pieces. So say, could you write something like a 70s rock piece? And that was kind of hard to pin down. So I had to kind of get my inspiration from Elton John, and the one piece was inspired by Crocodile Rock.
Okay. That's awesome. I
I,
have a student right now working on a piece out of the level 7. Is it Won't You Be My Baby? Yeah.
do you know? I believe that's the one. The opening has it might be the same chord progression as Crocodile Rock,
Okay, I'll have to tell
but
her that.
it's a whole lot slower. Now, often I'll just diddle around on the piano and I look for a hook, and a lot of musicians will know what I meant. Maybe the younger ones won't know what that means, but it's something that hooks your attention, and you just go, "Oh, that sounds really cool." And then I'll use that as the basic building block. Once I get started, the hook maybe sounds like it would go well into this, and then this sounds like it would go well to here, and so on. So often one idea leads to another. I would also recommend for new um, composers, they follow what my teacher, Sister Mary Zielinski, said. She said, Andrew, I want the same but different. So she taught me almost all of my music theory. And of course, if you want to be a composer, you really want to know your music theory,
Mhm.
especially the harmony. And so, what she was getting at with the same but different, you needed the composition to be unified. So you just can't go off in some bizarre direction in the middle and not have it sound like it belongs to the other part. So
Right.
you have to have some unity, but you can't have so much unity that it's boring.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just tricky to get that balance just right, enough variety versus unity. And if you'll notice, a lot of works of art are like that. If you look at a good painting, there's some unity to the painting overall. So I've discovered that with art. Modern art, however, just can do anything. And I decided I wasn't going to be a composer that takes a more intellectual, cerebral sort of direction with things, that I followed some formula like a 12 tone pattern. I do really want to write for enjoyment first. Maybe some other composers wouldn't respect that, but I feel that it's so important that the student or the player is going to just love the piece.
Yes.
So if I feel that it's not going to be a piece like that, I will throw it away. I
Okay.
know there's quite a few I've just ditched if it's not flowing and I'm stumbling over it. Then I'll go, you know what? It's going to sound too contrived. So I'll throw it away. I know some other composers, Remy Bouchard told me he'll work and work and work uh, to get that idea to work. And his doesn't sound contrived. He's
Okay.
really a fantastic or Canadian composer, I should say, was, because he passed away just a few years ago. So
That's great to know that you do it. It's not just like this is the way I go at it. Um,
yeah, sometimes I do have the idea, like Storm at Sea
mhm.
um, was inspired by the movie The Perfect Storm,
Okay.
but I like happy endings. The Perfect Storm, I don't know if you remember that. It was a
Yes.
tragic ending. So my Storm at Sea piece ends and they survive. And I quoted Louisa May Alcott. I'm learning to sail my ship. Oh, I'm not afraid of storms. I'm learning how to sail my ship. So meaning that tough times can make us stronger.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I kind of took that my approach with that.
that's an awesome quote. Awesome quote. One of my questions I had for you was, what is your, or do you have a favorite piece that you've written?
Storm at Sea is probably one of them. One that you're going to play at the end, I like it quite a bit as well. It's one of my most recent, Springtime in Paris.
I hadn't heard it before until you sent it to me, and I was like, oh, I need to grab the music for that one.
So I like that one quite a bit. My Friday Night Fever is very popular. I still get a blast out of teaching it, but it's only level 2 piece, so it's not one I would play.
Okay.
There's one in Trada. I used to play and play and play that piece. That was inspired by Felix Mendelssohn, so I tried to emulate his sound.
Right.
Of course, I love playing Felix Mendelssohn's piano works as well.
So that's why you had that connection to it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I had let you know, I think I have a student called Ethan, and he's playing Let There Be Rock. And when he finished it, I asked him about, and he's like, he wanted to know why you wrote it or how you came up with it.
Okay. I can answer that. That was one of those pieces where we had to fill in a blank. So Debbie would save me till near the end and say, "This is the holes we have." She was very good at planning a book and making sure all the bases are covered. So she needed a rock piece. So that's why I have that. And there are 4 notes at the end, and that's to go with "Let there be rock."
That's
I don't know.
funny because that's how I teach the students how to like shape it and play it at the end. Like, don't just like play 4 loud notes. It has to fit the phrase of "Let there be rock." It fits the title.
And I was after an aggressive sounding piece and a piece I thought, a boy would really be attracted to. Now, there's lots of girls like that kind of music too, so
Yes,
them
yes.
as well.
Another piece I find that students gravitate to when they're working on their ballads and things like is The River Meets the Sea. They really enjoy playing
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. That's one of my most viewed ones, I think, on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of times after they've been working, I don't usually let them listen to the pieces right away. I'll play them for them. And then some kids have such a good ear that if they hear it too much, then they won't work at it. But so I usually save it till they're a certain way in on learning a piece. And then if you have a YouTube piece that you've recorded, I'll send it to them so they get to hear.
Yeah,
And then,
that's also my favorite style to write in. I'd call it a ballad because it's like a love song.
Mhm.
So River Meets the Seas like that, Springtime in Paris, On the Wings of the Dawn, a Tonabee River song, that's my favorite genre to write in.
Okay.
Yeah. And I tend to have a favorite form, which is ternary. So I'm trying not to be stuck too much with the ABA formula, but I've realized that these formulas really work. And
Yes.
that's why we have them. I've had a few composition students, and my biggest advice for them is usually have a form. Uh, because the piece without form, it feels like it's meandering all over and it doesn't start anywhere or end anywhere. And the form will pull that together so that there's some direction to the piece. Um, hopefully, everybody knows roughly what I mean by that.
I've told students before, I don't have lots. Well, in MYC Music for Young Children, I have everybody learns to compose, but privates, I have some who like to continue and some who don't as much. But I've often told them that if you have a really good idea at the beginning, the listener wants to hear it again later on.
Yes. And you'll notice with pop tunes, the chorus is the part that grabs people, the hook that makes people want to listen to it over and over again.
Yes.
We're not used to pieces like Beethoven, or younger people aren't as used to it. It takes a little bit. You have to listen for a while, then it becomes familiar, then you love it. Where a lot of the pop stuff, they hook you right away, and you don't have to go through that longer process of liking the piece of music. So
Right. Right.
I'm just really into Beethoven right now. Just love his music. So
Awesome. What would you tell a student who is thinking that they'd like to start composing and they have never tried it before? Do you have any suggestions?
I do. And this suggestion came from Christopher Norton. The first workshop I was at of his, I just said, "What advice would you have for me, a beginning composer?" And he said to me, "Write every day, compose every day." Now, I wish I did do that. I'd have hundreds of compositions, but he had a point that you keep at it. And Frank Mills said on an interview, "Keep writing. Eventually, you'll stumble across something that's pretty good." So lots of quantity there as well.
Yes, that's
Um,
excellent.
I would say also tell a story, like a good novel works up to the climax, and then you've got your resolution of what's happening, and an interesting composition will often follow the same pattern.
Good advice.
There's so many things follow the same thing, like a movie. It we people are, or we've seen so many movies, we can often predict what's going to happen because we know the plan of a good show.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was watching a few years ago a Jason Bourne movie with my sister and her husband, and I kept saying, "Oh, this is going to happen," and then it actually happened. And I did it about 5 or 6 times. He's like, "Have you watched this?" And I'm like, "No, I just made sense that that would happen next." And he's like, "Well, stop it! I'm trying to enjoy the movie." Yeah, that's excellent. And then I had written down, but I think you gave me a link for it. Do you have a YouTube channel, or if,
Yes. YouTube channel. It's Andrew 0494 will get you there.
And let me just share this for a second, Andrew. I typed it up on a slide here. So I think that is correct information. So that would be your YouTube channel right through there.
Yes. Yes.
And then the web store is where they could go and find your.
Yeah. Everything I write, you could get through this store.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
So people will be able, as they watch this, to stop and pause and write that down, which will be awesome in there. I want to play your piece that you sent. And so when did you write this piece?
Oh boy. In the last year, I'm not exactly sure.
And you mentioned this
I,
morning when we were getting ready for the interview today that did you record it then while everybody was at home, stuck at home for COVID?
I did a lot of work on it with COVID and then getting it ready for Super Score. I think it was this spring that I wrote it.
Okay.
And I wrote it exclusively for Super Score for a while. And then I had a lot of people saying, we don't have an iPad. Can we buy this? So it's now a download on my website for a couple bucks. And so if you like it and you want it right away, there's how
And
you.
what's curious, because I was just wondering what level would you say it fits at if you had to?
I've had some grade sevens manage it, and so it's between 7 and 9.
Okay, so
Grade 9 would be very comfortable with it, but it is tricky. There's an octave scale, and I put that in the video on purpose so that you could see, yes, this can be done when I'm going up. That's the hardest part of the piece.
and
So,
then I had a question I was going to ask you about it. Oh, speaking of COVID, when were you a typical musician that you were actually busier when everybody was saying had all this time on their hands? Were you busier with doing things?
yes, unfortunately, not with composing. I had to become like a TV producer with the church work I do because I had to record all the music. I have a green screen that I looks like I'm in church, but I'm actually here in my studio. So that consumed a lot of my time. But I'm really anxious to get back and write those first 4 Spectrum books.
I bet. I'm looking forward to hearing those.
Thank you.
So why don't I pull up this so everybody has a chance to hear. It is called Springtime in Paris. And let me just make it bigger here. And then we'll listen to it and enjoy.
This is a homemade video made on iMovie.
It looks awesome. I was going to ask you if you actually, got to go to Paris. Have you ever got to go to Paris?
No, I would love to.
Yes. Okay, so let's listen to it.
What could be more French than Monet?
Oh, I love whenever we've done impressionistic pieces, I always have to show everybody Monet
A bit
pictures.
of Monet. One of my favorite artists.
Oh, beautiful music. And there's the Super Score. So Super Score, I believe, is for iPads, correct?
And the app itself is free, and there's tons of free music on there. Christopher Norton has quite a few things on there, and his Christmas songs are really fantastic. Oh,
Okay.
I do have an advanced level First Noel, and I'm exploring a new idea with the app. You also get a video that you could display on the big screen for a recital or in church or a carol service, and it's like an accompaniment for the First Noel advanced solo. So
Wow. That
that's
sounds
the first time I've tried that.
so that is it with Super Score then?
Yes, you purchase a song. I think it's $3.99, and you get the learning features where it will not go until you play the right notes, and then you can have it where you follow it to get the tempo nice and clean. And then there's a in-app video. They just click on that, and you could display that on the big screen. And yeah,
That's
so
exciting. And that video, you did such a good job. It makes my videos I do for my students look awful.
well, thank you very much. But I bet your videos are really good.
Well,
I,
not like that.
Pixels is my source of my videos, so
Okay,
we've got
good.
a lot of cool stuff for free on there.
And that piece is so beautiful. Springtime.
Thank you,
Yes,
thank you.
I know what I'm going to be doing after we sign off today. I'm going to be going over to Super Score and buying it.
Well, I think you'll enjoy it.
I
So
think so too. Yes, yes, it's beautiful, beautiful. Good job, Andrew.
thank
Um,
you.
I think those were most of my questions. I was trying to think if I missed anything in there, but is there anything else you'd like to share?
Hmm. I hope we're over COVID real fast because I am tired of only online. I want to see people in person again.
Yes, I can relate to that. I've been teaching solely online as well.
Yeah, I miss my students.
It's interesting. I don't know if this has happened to you yet. Sometimes I'll be like out shopping or something, right, with your mask and stuff on, and then all of a sudden you see one of your students, and it's like you're in real life.
Yeah. I've been teaching online, and there are some students that I've never met in person yet,
Yes, I
which
have
kind of is
one new
strange.
student like that. Yeah, it's kind of a really weird situation.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for.
Oh, thank you, Tammy, for thinking of me. This is a real privilege.
Yes.
So I
Yeah,
appreciate it very, very much.
I'll get
I
it
hope-
up on YouTube, and I will make sure I share it with you. And
Yeah, thank you.
hopefully I didn't mess anything up, or else I might be.
No, you're an excellent interviewer.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. It's been such a privilege to talk to you, Andrew. It's funny because I don't know about you, but like I'm one of your friends on Facebook, right? So it's kind of funny when you're talking to someone, you go, "Oh, I'm friends with this composer on Facebook," and they've never actually seen you or know who you really are. But now I can say I've actually talked to you. We had Christopher Norton here for a workshop about 4 years ago, and the grin on my face as I took a picture with him, it was like almost like one of those wedding day grins, where big grin and things like that. So it was such an honor and a privilege to talk with you today and
Thank you.
and pick your brain and hear about composing and a little bit about your life and get to hear that piece that I'd never heard before.
And
So
students are welcome to contact me through that web store and ask questions. I regularly get questions about compositions and what was my inspiration or whatever they're curious about. So I invite that. I love to hear from students.
excellent. Well, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I will finish our recording. So anybody, you can comment and you can email and contact Christopher Norton or Christopher Norton. There, go talk about story, Andrew. Contact Andrew and find out some more information from him. And I encourage you to do that when you're learning a piece that he's written, to find out where it came from, how he came up with it. So thank you again so much.
Thank you.